What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. As you can see, we got my guy, Nick, the statistician here. And I don't know if y'all noticed this, but we do have a nice little venue here. I like the optics. I like the chair. The chair feels cool. Yeah, it feels cool. How's everything with you, though, Nick?
It's going well. Everything's fantastic. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, I mean, you're always welcome. You're always welcome. Especially when we had a wonderful argument the other day. I said argument. That's right. We were playing basketball, and we ended up talking about flagrants and technical fouls, right? But we had a wonderful example to give, but we have others to talk about as well. But so we'll start it off with one. What's a technical foul and a flagrant foul? Now, a technical foul, and hopefully we don't get nobody joining the show. It's hopefully, fingers crossed. But a technical foul is a penalty assessed for unsportsmanlike conduct or other non-physical infractions of the rule. Now, I just want to say he's shaking his head. That's from Wikipedia. And, he shook his head yes, and they say don't trust Wikipedia, but he says Wikipedia is okay with this one. So that's a technical foul. Got you. Now, I'm going to read specifically from the NBA rulebook what it say what a flagrant foul is, because you might be wondering why I ain't say what it was from NBA rulebook from technical, because they just gave out a whole bunch of types of what a technical foul could lead to, or the result from. But a flagrant foul is if contact committed against a player with or without the ball is interpreted to be unnecessary, a flagrant foul. Penalty 1 will be assessed. A personal foul is charged to the offender, and a team foul is charged to the penalty 1. 2 free throws shall be attempted, blah, 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 blah. So y'all kind of get a gist of what the flagrant foul is. So, Nick, did we mess up anything there?
Yeah, no, you didn't mess anything up. So flagrants are generally in the NBA contact that is either unnecessary or excessive.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain indicators that the NBA goes by. I don't think they listed in the rule book, but there are certain indicators that they go by that you probably have heard on a broadcast or something. Things like blow to the head, wind up, things like that, that are generally sort of shared with the referees, but might not be officially listed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got you. And you might be wondering why I asked Nick. Well, Nick is actually certified as a referee. Fun fact, I did ref one time, so I got a little knowledge as a referee myself. You know what I'm saying? But he actually trained for it and got certified for it, so he does actually ref. And the reason why I brought him onto the show is, again, he's looking at things from a referee standpoint. I'm looking at things from like a basketball player standpoint. And we both have refed and played before, right? Like he's played, I've refed. Can't say it plural, but it's a ref's a ref, right? And we use, let's say, for example, this example with LeBron James and Draymond Green, 2016 NBA Finals. My personal opinion, LeBron pushes down Draymond and then waits to step over Draymond. Now I'm like, that was the more egregious act in that situation, right? I think Nick kind of had like, oh no, you agreed on that part, but you felt as though Draymond did deserve the flagrant.
Yeah, so my interpretation is that as a person,
Mm-hmm.
when we're talking about character,
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is more culpable for what's going on there. He's the one that creates the contact, and then he goes to step over, whether he's waiting or he's sort of like, it just sort of then the gears start to turn and he goes, I'm going to step over Draymond. And then he goes to do that as Draymond is getting up. Because the play is still going on and Draymond is like, I got to get back on into the defensive play.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't disagree fully with the NBA's interpretation of what happened later, which was that LeBron was later assessed retroactively a technical foul for stepping over Draymond, and Draymond was assessed a flagrant foul for his. We've disagreed on how to characterize this when we've talked in free shot. So, arm movement.
So you think that he intentionally tries to hit Braun in the little bronze? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand that. I genuinely do, right? My thing is this. Braun put himself in that position because Draymond admits he's trying to hit Braun. After Braun waits to step over him, that's impeding Draymond from getting up, like going upward. So by my interpretation, when we read the definition of like flagrant foul, right? You use word choice, like that could have been deemed as hostile. Anybody could deem that as hostile if they chose to, because it's subjective. End of day. Like there are words that are used in flagrant fouls definition that make me wonder. Okay, well, you said blow to the head. Did Draymond Green not get hit in the back of the head? Like, that's not the head-to-head matchup we want to really be worrying about. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think by definition, if we wanted, like, you can say that's wordsmithing it cool, but by definition, if we're going to upgrade Draymond's to a flagrant, we could have done the same thing for Braun, which personally, if I'm a referee in that moment, I'm going to look at the root cause and say, hey, I might let Draymond pass, because it did seem like this was a call because of the OKC thing with Steven Adams. Because like, let me ask you this: if Braun and Draymond are in the Steven Adams situation, Draymond kicks Braun the way he did Steven Adams, how do you think the league reacts?
Obviously, it's impossible for me to say for sure.
No. How do you think? How do you think?
I would hope that they would react similarly. I personally probably in both situations would prefer that Draymond receive a flagrant, because even if he doesn't kick Steven Adams or LeBron, whoever, on purpose, it's a reckless act. It's unnecessary, and Steven Adams does get kicked in the Kiwis. So I don't want. So I wouldn't wish for the league to be inconsistent in that ruling. So I would, if I'm making the unilateral decision in that situation, regardless of whether it's Steven Adams or LeBron James, I'm like, listen, it's a completely unnecessary flail. I understand you're trying to draw a foul, but you do kick the person in the nuts. That is a flagrant, and I'd award that after, like, as a member of the league in Scranton after the game.
Right. But see, it sounds like it's subjective, though, because, again, he ain't get a flagrant. Hell, I would have given Draymond a flagrant. One of my favorite characters is Wednesday. I'd like to protect the Addams family. You know what I'm saying? like I would have issued a flagrant then, and it seemed like that moment was more so, oh, we're going to issue a flagrant now because we missed that call, which kind of, when we were talking kind of off air, we were talking about missed calls, right? Like, how should you deal with the missed call? Well, I think it's subjective. Like, you can be fair, you can be unfair, but I do wish that referees would look at the game from a context basis and say, okay, this could be a little nastier than what it normally might be. For example, we're gonna switch it to the WNBA. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see the jersey. Y'all already knew we was gonna get a little controversial. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, they both got a flagrant foul against one another. And I would venture to say that Caitlin's might have seemed more reckless. But Angel, she got a flagrant foul and she's swatting for the ball, right? In my estimation, that happens a lot of times, and you can easily get hit in the back of the head. I don't think hers was malicious, and there were other people in the play too afterwards as well. So she ends up falling. It gets called a flagrant. I don't have an issue with it, but other people did. What would be your thoughts on that sort of situation?
So when a player gets thrown out of the ground, you have to, and you're going to call, or you're leaning towards calling something that is not a standard personal foul. The first thing you have to do is look at it from, was the contact what we have an issue with? Was this during live or dead ball play? Was this sort of a basketball play that was reckless or unnecessary? Or was this just a sort of a shove, which would that is immaterial to the game of basketball, where they're no longer playing basketball, they're just trying to get into a conflict. In that situation, from what I remember, it was sort of a reckless, overzealous rebounding effort, we'll say. I believe, if I remember correctly, or some off-ball action.
You're talking about with Angel and Caitlin?
Yeah.
Caitlin is going, well, the play I was talking about was she was going up for the layup, and Angel's swatting to block it.
Okay.
Yeah. So and she hits Caitlin in the back of the head.
So this is a basketball action that you would decide whether it's a flagrant or a normal common foul. And
what would make it a normal common foul if you get hit in the head? Because again, it's a blow to the head. Because that's my thing with Draymond and Braun. You got hit in the head, so it could be deemed a flagrant.
Contact to the head and neck is a major indicator of a flagrant foul. One of the big things we're going to be looking at as a referee to determine whether it's a flagrant or a common foul is whether there's windup. Windup would be a big thing, especially when you're looking at a block.
How much of a windup? Because again, if I'm jumping and like this, like my wing, I got a 6'6" wingspan, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm swatting, I'm dog. Like I might, and this ain't even a windup, but this joint look wide as hell. So it's like, is this a flagrant?
So if a player is not, this is up to the referee's judgment at the end of the day.
But what do they teach you guys? What do they teach you?
So what they teach us is essentially if they're going for a big block, like Dwight Howard style, like this is a windup. Okay. Well, and you might not be trying to hit the person in the head,
right? But
you have to be very careful when you do that.
So it has to be the hand or any part of your body cannot hit that person in the head.
It would, yeah. Again, it's trying to tackle reckless behavior that can result in things like concussions. Because the number one thing, like, you don't want to have happen is we understand now how severe concussions can be,
right?
So you want to try to dissuade players from behaviors that can lead to that as much as possible,
right?
So yeah, it can be completely inadvertent where you wind up, you go for the block and you hit somebody in the head. That would be issued a flagrant.
So what happens, and I'm not trying to discredit this man's block at all, because it was a good block. Shout out J.R. Smith too. But Braun's block, chase down block, right? What happens if he hits the ball, but like his elbow hits like Iggy in the head? But he did it because he jumped higher than Iggy. Shout out again to J.R. Smith. Like, is that a flagrant foul?
So in that situation,
because it's a blow
on
to the
the
head.
play. So you get away with a lot more contact. You can block a shot and then get called for a shooting foul. That can happen. But you get away with a lot more contact when you get the ball first.
Okay.
And in that situation, if I remember LeBron is sort of here, and when he blocks the ball, if he blocks the ball and then grazes Iggy on the head, we would not refer to that as a flagrant.
I didn't say graze, but I said hit. Like hit. Like
yeah,
he still get hit
to the head. I mean, that's still gonna suck for Iggy.
Right. So it's a double whammy for Iggy.
Yeah, and that's one of those. So it would be one of those situations where is the contact unnecessary? No. Is the contact excessive? No. Then we would say no. You know, there's no foul, or there's no flagrant foul in that situation, and there has to be a foul also to call a flagrant. So in that case, I have seen plays where a player, and the NBA especially, if you block a shot, I've almost never seen a play. I don't remember the last time I saw a play in the NBA where somebody got called for a foul after a block anyway. Where, again, that can happen. And I've seen plays where it probably should have, but I've not seen it called.
Okay. I was going to say, I wanted to see a foul called after a block. Like, how does that work? Like,
I was actually going back and watching the '08 finals. I think there was one, I forget who on who, but I believe
that sounds vicious. If it won't for my team, that sounds vicious. My boys was in that day. But okay, now as a referee, before we close up, like as a referee, are you guys taught to pay attention to root cause? Because again, I look at flagrants and technicals as like, if a flagrant's issued, it's deemed it's worse because it's deeming as like a physical contact as opposed to like a technical could be taunting, right? So you're just talking, so you can get a technical, but flagrant involves physicality. It's deemed as excessive, unnecessary. Does root cause factor in at all for you guys, or do y'all just go by the book and just say, hey, just if it hits this definition, call a spade a spade?
So what's important is that we don't get to rewrite the rules. That's not our position. That's for whoever is in charge of the competition committee. The NBA, it's the owners and the coaches who are part of that committee. So we have to referee by the book. However, there is some leeway. There are occasions where we can look at, for example, a player who initiates contact and causes a legal defender and legal defending position to become illegal as a result of the contact by the offensive player. In those instances, we are taught as referees to, if the defender is basically doing all that he can to be in legal guarding position, we're taught to referee the defense. If the defender hasn't done anything wrong, we should not call a foul. There are still times where, because some referees are really looking for those arms and that the angle that they are at, that they might erroneously call a foul, and I think players would have a valid complaint. But believe me, I've been hit with that foul as a player myself, where I've gotten hit, my arm comes down inadvertently.
Right.
But as a referee, it's my opinion that we would be in error to penalize the defense for what an offensive player does. But in terms of technicals, unsportsmanlike behavior, flagrants, everybody can get one.
Everybody can catch one. But all right, so I'm with you. Everybody can catch these technicals, right? Can catch these T's and F's, I guess. But if someone is viewed as a victim for me, I don't want to give them the, I guess, quote unquote, worst call, which I look at it like that, right? You don't look at a flagrant and technical as worse. Other people, like I asked one of my friends too, he said, not necessarily. But again, like I'm looking at it because you're saying, oh, like it's a physical reason why you got issued this one, not just a verbal, like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Like, so taunting is worse than physical. So that's why I say flagrant might be viewed as worse than technical. But I don't know. I hate the fact that the victim gets worse, at least in my eyes, the worst treatment. If they got both, in using Braun and Draymond in this example, if they both were issued a technical or personal foul and that's it, cool. Like or flagrants, cool. But because it got issued, like upgraded to a flagrant, the perception of it looked bad, especially when the root cause was Braun in that scenario. Because if you flip it, I do wonder if they do the same thing the same way.
Again, that's one of those where we probably won't know, although it's still possible. LeBron and Draymond are still playing, but we probably will never know.
I mean, we'll never know because that's prime Braun and prime Draymond,
right?
So like that, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like we won't know what that would look like,
right?
But I would bet my life savings and everything that you love on.
Why is it everything I love?
And everything I love too, that they would treat it differently. But you know, that's just stuff. I'm just saying I'm that confident you wouldn't lose nothing. That's just what I'm saying. But I'm definitely curious what other people think about as well too. But again, though, this was a very, I don't want to say heated argument, but it was an argument nonetheless though, at one point in time. But I also thought too it's a great talking point as well because referees and players, they view the games differently. Like I know players want the referees to be more root cause oriented, and maybe you guys are taught focus on what is actually occurring. So I mean, I do get that as well too. But Nick, I mean, you got anything you want to say before we close up shop? I think that about does it.
Yeah, I mean, refereeing is difficult. Go out there and referee a game if you want, and you'll find out like it's not easy. We don't get the slow motion replays that you see on the broadcast from the perfect angle. We get one shot at it, it's going 20 miles an hour, and it's difficult. We're going to make mistakes, and at the end of the day, we don't cause you to miss all your jump shots. Like we're not like very rarely are we going to cause you to lose the game. So be kind. Most of them are doing it for not great pay, if any. So be kind to your fellow referees, and they might give you a little bit more grace. You know, you never know.
You know what? Because that actually reminds me. What? It's another episode then, I guess. But we'll talk about when Kelsey Plum and Angel Reese and all of them were talking about the refs and saying how they're costing them the games. We'll talk more about that on another time. But yeah, no, it's interesting being a ref. I'll admit that. It was fun. I don't know if I would keep doing it, but maybe I'll try to like do one game recorded wise just to see how it is and give a little content that way. But Nick, I greatly appreciate your time and effort per usual. You'll be back on the show again. Don't worry. And I'm surprised we actually didn't talk stats today. So we may change that next time. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I greatly appreciate y'all for listening. definitely stay tuned. And again, this is Nick. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. Hope you all have a good one. Take care.